Hello, saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
All right, you guys, welcome back to the podcast. You have found your way again over to the Jester Section Hiker podcast, your premier podcast with the spotlight on section hikers. And I am your host, Julie Jester Gayhart. And you guys, you are in store for quite the show today. My guest, she and I have been communicating, I believe for several months now. She is a fan of the show and of the Hiking Radio Network. And I mean, talk about section hiking. I think she's the definition of section hiking. But before we get to my guest, I want to give you guys a couple announcements, and a shout out. So I'll start with the shout out first. So for those of you that have been around for a while, back in September, my co-host and my business partner, Austin, he and I released a documentary series titled I Am the MST. And we had a premiere, back in September toward the end of the month. And we had about 75 or 80 people at our premiere of the film, and a couple people that were there representing a company that you guys know very well is Rip Stop by the Roll. I don't know if you guys could see that sticker. I could never work this out quite right. So we had a couple people there from Rip Stop by the Roll. They are actually headquartered in Durham, North Carolina. So they are home to the Mountains of Sea Trail. And a couple weeks ago, I got this little gift in the mail, which is awesome. So this is, see if I could get it up here. So this is a bag that was specially made for the birthday month, September 22, for the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail. And my friend Lance and Jason over at Rip Stop by the Roll, they sent me one and they sent Austin one. And you guys, this thing, I can't even describe it. It is so cool. I love the topo lines. I love how they put the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail all there representing our home state trail. And I don't know, this is like some type of, I don't know what kind of fabric. I'm not a geek in that nature, but it's waterproof. It's amazing. And I cannot wait to use it this summer. And I'm thinking I can even use this as a travel bag, when I go various places when I'm not hiking. So just wanted to give Rip Stop by the Roll a shout out. Lance and Jason, thank you. And hopefully I will see you guys very soon, because a huge announcement that I have this week is I was asked to be the moderator again of the Thru Hiker panel coming this April at the Friends of the Mountains of Sea Trail gathering. So on that Saturday, April 29th, I will be hosting the Thru Hiker panel and asking all the thru hikers that completed the Mountains of Sea Trail in 2022. We're going to be hanging out. We're going to have a hiker panel. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I've actually hosted that the past couple years. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be doing that this year, but you guys, it's all worked out. So my MST peeps, I hope you guys are going to be at the Mountains of Sea Trail gathering coming April 29th on that Saturday. I will see you all there, and I will be hosting the hiker panel. So give it up for the MST gathering. Another event, actually, Austin and I will both be at the gathering, and we will both be at NC Trail Days on Saturday, June 3rd in Elkin, North Carolina, our wonderful, awesome town of Elkin. And we will be showing I Am the MST on that Saturday, June the 3rd in the Reeves Theater. And you guys, this is like a huge, huge deal. And we are so humbled and thankful that we've been asked to show our documentary during NC Trail Days at the Reeves Theater. And after the showing, we will be having a Q&A session where you can ask us questions. We can talk trail. We can talk about filming the documentary, I Am the MST. So look forward to that. It's going to be an amazing day of hiking and festival and all kinds of things that go on at NC Trail Days in Elkin, North Carolina. And then the third thing I wanted to let you guys know, Austin and I will also be at ALDA this year, the Appalachian Long Distance Hikers Association. Their yearly gathering is going to be in Virginia this year. And we are also showing I Am the MST at the gathering on that Saturday. I believe the date is October the 7th. And you guys, humbled again. Austin and I had no idea after we filmed the documentary I Am the MST and gave that as a birthday gift to the Mountains of Sea Trail during the 45th birthday month last September, that we would be asked to go to these festivals and show the movie on a big screen. So we are excited. We're fired up. And we're really, really looking forward to it. And it's hard to believe it's March already. In Charlotte, North Carolina, this past week, it's been in the 70s and the 80s. And I am getting, you guys know, I've been fired up to get back out hiking, and I am working my way there. A couple more things before I introduce my guest. I don't know if you guys had a chance this past Thursday, the Hiking Radio Network, in conjunction with myself, with Austin, with a few other fellow hikers, we released what we are calling our Woods Hole Weekend, our video series. And you can watch on YouTube all about that. We did a live show this past Thursday. I also have information in the show notes here on YouTube, and I'll have information in the show notes of the audio version of the podcast. So we're excited about that. And last but not least, right before I introduce my guest, I am introducing a new series that I'm going to be doing here on the podcast starting March 26th. In the description below, in the show notes, are all the dates. I'm going to be going live from now until June when school's out and I take my summer break. And I am going to be going over specifically how to section hike in various areas on the Appalachian Trail. And we're starting that off on March 26th by hiking or section hiking in Georgia. And you guys are going to crack up when I show you this. I have been going back in my archives. I pulled out one of my first handbooks on hiking the Appalachian Trail, and you can see this. This thing is, I love books when they're ripped up and torn and they have notes in them. So I've been pulling this out. I've been making notes, getting ready. Here's another thing. You guys are going to crack up when you see this. And Ruth, who I'm getting ready to introduce, we'll see if she has this kind of stuff. I have, you guys, this is a 3-ring binder. Look at all this advertising that I put together probably 2009, 2010. Of everything that I used and documented to complete my Appalachian Trail section hike from 2006 to 2017 and beyond at this point. So I'm going to be unveiling some things that are in this notebook. And if you guys have questions, please shoot me an email, jester@jestersectionhiker.com, about Georgia or any of the other various section hiking areas I'm going to be talking about. Shoot them my way and I'll answer them as we go, starting March 26th. And I'm really excited. Ruth, I promise I'm getting to you. I just got my 2023 edition of the AT guide that I use. And you guys, I buy the loose leaf version so I could just carry the pages instead of buying the whole book so I don't have to rip them out. But this is what I'm going to be using as we go through that series, in addition to the Appalachian Trail on the app Far Out. So there is all my information. That was a mouthful. There's a lot going on. All of that will be in the description. Hope you guys can join us. Again, Austin and I are going to be at the Gathering, NC Trail Days, Alda. We've got a lot going on. In addition to, we have started filming our new film this year, and I'll get way into that later, but that is in progress as well. And we're going to be doing some of that next weekend. But without further ado, it's time to get to Ruth. So you guys, I have really, really enjoyed, and you guys heard this over the last couple episodes, listeners that reach out to me, listeners that send me emails. And you guys, I am very adamant. I email everybody back. I love the correspondence. And before I even introduce Ruth, I want to thank her, because Ruth reached out to me right before I was having my surgery on my foot. And she would send me emails every 2 or 3 weeks. How you doing? Hope you're progressing. And we actually kind of corresponded via email about our injuries. And that is something that we're going to talk about today. So I'm just going to read you guys a little bit of Ruth's email that she originally sent me. And we're finally going to have her on the show. She says, "Hello, Jester. So great to make contact with you after listening to your podcast for a long time. Your interview of the Medicare pastor, which is episode number 56, by the way, one of my highest downloaded episodes. I think she's at number 2, episode number 56 with Medicare pastor, was my first exposure to the Hiking Radio Network, and it hooked me. You do a great job finding and interviewing a variety of section hikers. I'm hoping that you will consider me as one of your potential guests. I most definitely qualify as a lasher." Of course you do, Ruth, "and have kept up a 5-year blog." She's an author at the Trek. And she says her long-distance backpacking experience began with the 1,500-mile GR5, a trail that runs through 5 countries, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and France. And you guys, I can't read this whole paragraph because I can't even detail all the hiking that Ruth has done. I mean, it is extensive. Then she says, "In 2017, I began my odyssey on the AT. My original plans of doing a flip-flop hike over 2 summers morphed into a 4-summer adventure. Thanks to injuries yet again. I completed the southern half in 2017 and 2018, and the northern half in 2019 and 21. I first left the trail at Perrysburg, Virginia, with very painful tendinitis in one foot. In 2019, I ended my northerly 900-mile section hike from Harper's Ferry at Andover, Maine, with stress fractures on both sides of my pelvis. New Hampshire and Maine really did a number on me. Me too, Ruth. And New Hampshire and Maine is pretty much what I have left to complete it again. So I'm anxious. I'm nervous. And she says, however, I promised my new Swiss friend to get to Katahdin together. So I rented an RV and supported him the remaining miles north. We never came together during that final segment by mutual agreement. By the time we got to Katahdin, I felt so much better. So I fulfilled my promise and climbed Katahdin with him, but came down in great pain and was on crutches for the next 4 months. I said never again. I swore I'd never touch the AT again, despite just 200-something miles remaining. Well, you guys know how this goes. So, of course, I came back after the COVID summer and finished it with both pleasure and pain, now with another torn meniscus and a stress fracture in one knee. For some reason, Ruth, I think your and my story is very similar. The AT just crushed us, but we didn't stop. We came back and we finished. And she says, good news. I'm now doing a form of yoga daily that has a good track record for reversing osteoporosis, and I'm eating a whole lot of calcium-rich leafy greens. Fast forward, her future plans, which she is working on right now, and we're going to talk about. She's out section hiking the Florida Trail. She plans to hike the Colorado Trail this summer, and she's been out section hiking the Buckeye Trail in Ohio. So you guys, enough babbling from me. Let's get Ruth out here. Ruth.
Hey.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. It's unbelievable.
I apologize all the babbling that I did beforehand, but I wanted people to get a sense of your email. And really, I want to thank you before we even get started, because your correspondence back and forth with me, you really lifted me up, because when you're taken out with injury and you can't hike or do the thing you love, I mean, it really brings you down. So I really want to thank you for that, Ruth. I appreciate it.
Oh, I understand. I've been there myself, living on the sofa, watching Netflix. Yeah,
I know. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is bad. And you think it'll never happen, but that's why it's good to keep a journal and mark every little bit of progress, so you can go back and see, hey, I am getting better.
Exactly. Yeah. And I sit back and think, I had my surgery in October, and, most people don't know this because I don't really get into it, but I had some really down days. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to throw all my hiking stuff away. I'm never hiking again. I don't want to talk about hiking. I don't even want to associate with anybody that hikes. Like, I'm over it. So, before we get to your trek, recently that you just got off of the Florida Trail, in your email, you spoke of several different injuries and how you overcame that. So let's talk about that first, because I think a lot of times we don't talk about our injuries and we don't talk about our setbacks, and how we overcome them and get back to the trail. So let's kind of start off with that.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's all a real learning curve. My first injury that I recall for a long distance hike, it was on that European trail, the GR5. It was a lot of road walking. I did the Alps first, which were all the French Alps for 500 miles. That was so beautiful.
Amazing.
Nothing
Incredible.
can match. And then the second year I was hiking north. I did a flip-flop. I was hiking the third year, the final year, from Luxembourg City up to the North Sea in the Netherlands. And I was doing a lot of road walking there, and I hadn't realized how old my shoes were. And I developed tendonitis there. And, now I realize that, and I've been hit on the AT. It was due to old trail runners as well. I didn't realize what a short life they have. Especially on the pavement. And I reach a point where I honor my body and I say, I'm not going to put you through this. First of all, I don't want my memories of this trail to be of pain. And luckily, being a section hiker, sections can be as long as I want, and I am not compelled to go back to the beginning to prove that I can do a through hike. So I get off, I take care of myself. I hate the trail initially. But I will say, I've been on crutches twice because of pelvic stress fractures. I see great value if you can find a counselor to talk to. I found one who didn't hike, but no one's listened to me as well as she did. And I was so low that I asked to be put on a very mild antidepressant. And that served me well for several months until things looked better and I knew I could gradually wean off of that with her help. So help is there, and she really, really helped pull me through. But yeah, I think we have to honor our bodies. And I'm learning. The trail runners need replacing more often. I finished up the AT in Loa Renegade hiking boots, which I felt really secure in. And so there was never another issue with that, at least.
Excellent.
Up in the stress fractures happened up in New Hampshire. And what happened was I got in the Whites and the Presidential Range, and it was beautiful weather. It was very rough. This was my 900-mile section. I'd hoped to get the whole northern half done. And it was such perfect weather, I could not take my usual 0 day. I usually take about the 5th day or 6th as a full day off. Just to honor my body again and my brain and to do my blog. And so that I will continue to enjoy the trail. But the weather was so perfect, I thought I cannot let this go while I'm up here in New Hampshire, up high. And so I went 12 days.
Wow.
And boy,
that's a lot.
oh boy. Oh, and and then I took a 0 day, and that's when I met a Swiss fellow who wanted to finish, had very little English. And I'm used to teaching English as a second language. And that's when I said I would help him get to the end. But I was able to hike with him a few months, maybe a week or two. And then one day I just sat down in the middle of the trail with tears pouring down my face. My hips hurt so much. I said, I simply can't go on. And that's when I agreed to shuttle him after some thought. And that was actually, I have to say, the most rewarding thing of my Appalachian Trail experience, of helping him get to the end and then hiking Katahdin and coming down and discovering that the hip fractures were still there. Wow. But I did it.
I'll tell you what, Ruth, I have never been. Well, there's several things I want to ask you based on what you just talked about. I've never been so beat up in my life hiking than Katahdin, because in the summer of 2016, I decided that's it. I'm going to Katahdin no matter what. So the day school got out, took 2 days to drive to Maine, met a couple girlfriends of mine, and literally went from the couch to Katahdin back down. And I mean, I looked like I had been, in the war is not even, the mountain beat me up. The mountain showed me who was boss, is the way I'm going to say that.
It chews you up and spits you out. I tell people, like, we had 2 friends join us. My husband joined me for when I did go back up and forgave the trail and finished at the last 220 miles. My husband, to get me off the sofa and to stop hating the AT, he promised to do the last 120, I just forgot the name, the wilderness.
The 100-mile wilderness.
100-mile wilderness with me. And he did. And 2 of his Viking friends asked to join us. And I warned them. I said, Katahdin, doing the wilderness and then Katahdin, okay. But the Katahdin is the final exam for the AT, I consider. It's pulling together.
The Katahdin is the doctorate program.
Doctorate program. It pulls together a bit of all the hardest, we'll say. But that said, I've climbed it twice. And honestly, I have future plans, perhaps, which we'll get into sometime, of doing it the 3rd time. But it would be a different route, an easier one. I believe there's an easier one. It's kind of like, do I want to poke a screwdriver in my eyes 10 times or 30?
Oh, my God. I'm asking myself the same thing. So there's a couple of things you said. First of all, that it's okay to seek help. And, I've struggled with that myself over all of this injury, because honestly, I didn't take care of my body. I mean, I was pressing forward from, I'll just say 2010 through 2017. I got to get this trail done. I want to achieve my goal. And in the summer of 2015 is really when my foot actually started hurting. I did 1,000 miles that summer in 60 days. I took 0 days off, no days off. Some days I was doing 20, 20, 20, 20. And an injury took me out that year, and ended up having surgery on my shoulder. And then that leads to the second thing that you just said is you have to forgive the trail. And I don't know what that is mentally, because after 2015, I was like, I hate the Appalachian Trail. I mean, I was just like, I don't want anything to do with it or anything that anybody is around it. I don't care if you're happy on the trail. And it's this, I don't know what that is. But somewhere along the way, I forgave the trail. I forgave myself. My body started feeling better, and I went back at it again. But I guess I didn't learn enough because I didn't take care of my feet. My feet have always been my nemesis on the trail. Some people, it's their knees. Some people, it's their hips, their backs, their shoulders. For me, it's always been my feet. And I know the drill. I know to get better shoes. I've been there, done that with all that. I just think for me, it was the mileage. I was going beyond my capability. Even though I was younger, my physicality let me go and my mentality let me go, but I went beyond the capability of what my body wanted to do. And I think going forward, that is the lesson that I have to learn for myself. I can enjoy the trail, but I don't have to go out and do 15, 20 miles. I've been there, done that. And as I say this, it's still hard for me to think that. So your statement, forgiving the trail, is, I think it's forgiving ourselves for beating ourselves up. I think for me, part of that goes along with that for me.
That is absolutely true. What you're saying is there's so many younger people, and so there'll always be people younger and faster than us. There'll always be people slower than us at my age. Maybe there's not any older.
I don't know, Ruth. Do you want to tell people your age? I wasn't going to ask you.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm 70.
Wow.
Listen, I credit the food. I eat a really nutritious way of eating. So that I credit my food. I used to run a lot of marathons, and I ran them despite how my body hurt. But once I went much more nutritious diet, I now can do all this because of how my body feels. I did the other despite how it felt. Now I do it because of how my body feels. I do feel much younger. But yeah, you do have to forgive yourself. There's always faster. Lately I've been concentrating, this ties in, trust me, with being more mindful about my eating and enjoying putting the fork down, chewing all my food completely, letting digestion start in my mouth and where it's supposed to, and then go to the gut. And I realize I usually gulp my food because I want more, more, more. I'm enjoying it so much. Let's get more. And I'd overeat and then get indigestion afterwards. And so now I'm thinking, if I delay and eat slower, I can enjoy it longer and still a decent amount. Same with the trail. Mm-hmm. If we just take our time, maybe slow our walking down a little, just a hair. I take way too many photos, and that's lots of fun. Enjoy the camping. I try to get yoga in, stretches in the evening or in the morning, maybe 5 or 10 minutes of meditation. That is a full day. And I don't have to do 20 miles to be enjoying the trail. I'm doing, my best miles are 12 to 15. Yeah. And I'm enjoying the trail every bit as much. The only downside is it may mean that I have to carry an extra day's worth of food or something like that because of, where
but
you
know
can
what?
go
If you're
get your
enjoying
food.
the trail, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I've learned over the years that for me, I love a good 10 to 12 mile day.
Yes.
Or like a 12 or 30, depending on the mileage where you need to end up for camping and things like that. When I get to, and me and my girlfriends used to joke about this on the trail, when we would get to 3 or 4 in the afternoon and it would be like that 15, 16, 17 mile, you've reached those miles in the day. You could tell a tremendous difference in your body. It's just in your body. It's like, okay, here comes the ibuprofen. Here comes, all these things that, I'm going to try to mask just not feeling good. And if I would have just stopped 2 or 3 miles ago and rested for the evening, I'd have been fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quit while it's fun.
Yeah.
For the day. Pause. It's only the pause button. That's all.
Yeah.
So, no, I agree. We're given one body. I don't want to destroy it.
Yeah. And that's what I'm learning. I mean, I am turning 50 this year, and it's like, I don't want to spend the next 50 years, because I've deemed I'm going to live to 100, dealing with foot pain, ankle pain. And, the other day I was like, I got to change my food. I got to change what I'm doing because I just have to stop my madness because none of this feels good anymore. So I'm going through that personal journey as well. What do I need to eat? I need to drop, realistically, I probably need to drop 30 pounds like immediately.
Come over to my house and we'll talk for about six to 8 hours. Try shutting me up.
And, how do we get through this? So, that's one of the things I'm working on. And maybe I do need to talk about it more because maybe there's more people out there struggling with that. We've got a couple questions, and I'm going to save those to the end because I want to get into this. So despite everything you've done, which is hundreds of thousands of miles, you've completed the Appalachian Trail, you're working on the Buckeye Trail. When did you decide to do the Florida Trail? And you just got off a section. So walk us through what's been going on.
Yeah. You know, I can't remember the moment I decided to do it, but for years, we live in Cincinnati, which is kind of borderline north as far as
Okay,
snow
so I was
and
born in
cold.
Dayton.
Yeah, cool. And so cold and dreary in the winter in the Ohio River Valley. And I've threatened my dear husband of many years to run off to Arizona every January. And then I thought, Florida Trail, January.
Yeah.
So I have got a Get Out of Ohio free card for this January and the next 3 Januaries. And I get to escape for a month. And I like to experience really different environments. And so far, I've been in the Alps. I've been in the Appalachians. Which you didn't mention, I've hiked in the Himalayas. I've hiked in Patagonia. We've climbed Kilimanjaro, but I haven't hiked through swamps. And that needed to be corrected.
Well, that doesn't sound so good after you talk about the Himalayas and the Alps.
Yeah, but swamps are flat, dead flat, or they'd be waterfalls. This is, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there's a map of the Florida Trail. There we go. And it's a 1,100-mile trail that goes from Big Cypress. I'm pointing back there. No, other way. There it is.
I know that's hard to do.
Yeah, Big Cypress in the Everglades National Preserve. And for the first 4 days, I hiked in swamps. About 50% of the time I was walking in water up to my ankle to my thighs. And then you go up and you can choose going around the east or west side of Lake Okeechobee, which is the second largest lake in the U.S. to be contained within one state, its own state. And the other is Lake Michigan.
I'm going to make this bigger while you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. And so I chose to go around the west side because that's where more people go and there's more wet places to get my food packages from home, which we'll get into later. And then you go up to Orlando, and I chose to go around the east side. You can go around the west, but the east side, I don't know, more people do it. And I thought, well, I hike alone almost 95% of the time by choice. I love it, but I like to see other hikers too. So I did that. And then this is where I got off according to plan, after about 350 miles where my dark line ends. And then the trail continues. And next year I will go up north. Whoop, go over the other way. I'm going to look at it. There we go. To about Tallahassee. And that'll be another 300, 400 miles. And then the following year, I will go to the terminus, which is across the Pensacola Bay from Pensacola at Gulf Islands National Seashore at Fort Pickens. But then that finishes the Florida Trail. But what I plan on doing, I cannot leave any stone unturned. So on the 4th January of 4th year, I will go back down here and then follow an inland connector and then walk down the Keys to Key West because it exists and I must go there. And
listen,
that will
Ruth,
be
you are
very
a
fun.
beast. I'm telling you, you're a hiking beast.
No. Well, it's funny. The two friends who were on the 100-mile wilderness, I changed my trail name from Chalkaholic because I had to give it up. I was a Chalkaholic. And they named me Ruthless instead of Ruth because...
okay, everybody in the chat. I'm serious. Hashtag Ruthless. I'm serious. Put it in the chat.
It's fun. But
that's my motto. Ruthless.
I assure everyone I'm perfectly harmless and nice. I just hurt myself. That's all. But the Florida Trail did not disappoint. Oh my God. Big Cypress. I talk about walking in the water on a hot day. That's really nice. And it's just so different and lush and green. And no, I did not see alligators. No, I saw one snake that was about that long and he was afraid of me and swam away. the alligators are there anywhere there's a puddle. There's an alligator probably, but it's beautifully marked. They have done a wonderful job because you could get lost there. You're never at a loss for water in the swamp. The rest of the way, there was a lot of walking on levees that are raised up above areas where they've drained the land for farming, and the land is trying to take it back. But you can't drink the water in the canals because of agricultural runoff. That's where you'll see the alligators sunning themselves, and that's cool. And they're way down low, and I'm up high on the levee. It's all good.
And well, listen, I've heard a lot of amazing things about the Florida Trail, but I think it just depends on when you go. I mean, January seems like the perfect time.
It is the time. And there's of course there's the Florida Trail Association that is in charge of the trail, but there's also an association that really supports the hikers. And they had a camping at a campground 10 miles from the southern terminus for the people who were going to start. And they staggered us by days. We chose what day to go, but we were staggered by 3 or 4 days because the camping areas in a swamp are very small. It's a raised little island kind of, and maybe 4 tents can go there. But these trail angels who work with this association put out caches of water, as I've heard some do on the Arizona Trail too. And so even though we're surrounded by water in the canals, we had to get our water from the gallons. They'd have like 20 gallons of water behind a guardrail at such and such intersection. And they were just a lifeline. And there was on the Facebook group, there was a spreadsheet. You could see how much water was left. People would keep it up.
Well, listen, I think I saw you. There was a gentleman that hiked. He did this Carolinian route last year, and he was on the Mountains to Sea Trail. His name is Jason Tompkins. Did you hike with a guy out and about?
Out and about. Yeah. I hiked with him for sure.
He's down on the Florida Trail?
Very affable. He is now surely off the Florida Trail. I follow his Facebook page, but he doesn't always say exactly where he is. He is completing the Eastern Continental Trail, the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah. I thought he was out there. I said, he's out there again. And I am pretty sure that is Ruth in these pictures with him. So that's cool.
Yeah. He was he makes friends so easily, but the world is his home. He really is just living in the world right now, hiking all over.
Awesome.
But yeah, the Florida Trail, some of the people, the locals say it is a strand of beautiful pearls held together with twine, brown twine, because that brown twine are road walks. You can't be on beaches and Disney World every day. When you're in Florida, you can't be in perfect, beautiful wilderness areas every day.
Well, listen, I don't want to be in those places. I don't want to go to Disney World and the beach.
Oh, I don't either. I don't either. But you can't be in these gorgeous green palm-filled areas every day. That's not real life. That's heaven. Along with mountains, though. There have to be mountains in heaven. So there's a lot of road walks, and sometimes the roads are busy, but there's always a shoulder. And I wore a lot of orange cap. I had a bright orange rectangular thing to strap on my front to face traffic. I had it on my back the rest of the time, and you just get it done. And I don't tend to listen to music or podcasts or anything when I'm walking, trying to conserve my battery on my phone. But I just get lost in my thoughts. And if I pass a house, I think if that was mine, I'd put on shutters. I evaluate everything I pass and but it's fine. It's fine. It's good. And, but I think the road walking contributed to, I had a knee issue that got me off the trail 3 days earlier than I had planned. But now I'm all good. After 3 weeks, it was just went away. It tends to do that. Yeah.
So, I mean, so many questions. I don't think you're going to stop in 2023. I think the Florida Trail was the first leg of 2023. So what's next? What's coming up for this year? And then we need to get in this food. Get into the food.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was planned for last year in late July and all of August was Colorado Trail, but I had a meniscus tear that had to be repaired from finishing the AT in 22. It was the second time that knee had seen meniscus repair. The other knee only seen it once. I know. And really, if you watched me, you'd think that woman is a very careful hiker. Well, time takes its toll. So yes, Colorado Trail. And that I do hope to through hike. It's 480 miles. It starts in Denver in kind of the central part of Colorado, a little to the north, and it goes southwest all through the Rockies the whole time, down to Durango near the Four Corners. And I lived 2 of my very formative years in grade school in a little mining town, and it's one of the trail towns, right in the heart of a canyon. I just am. And my family moved a lot. We moved 7 times before I went into high school. And so Dad was an educator, but he really didn't like to educate.
Yeah.
He didn't like his work. So I am so excited. It's like going home. So many people finish the whole trail in 4 weeks. I'm taking 6 because I'm going to force those. And I love my 0 days. And I'm also going to take 6 and just take my time and fit in I also have to plan around the challenges on this trail is the altitude. So I'm going 3 days early up to Breckenridge to, up at about 8,000 feet to acclimate, and then come back down to the Denver area where you start. And my husband's joining me the first 4 days, as he did on most of the Appalachian Trail.
Awesome.
Yeah. He is super support. And then I plan on hitting the big time. I'm going to have a 0 at my grandparents' little town. I'm going to have a 0 in Creed, the mining town I lived in. And just, it's a real journey. It's not just a hike. So
I'm excited for you.
Excited.
That one's on my list as well. I'm excited for you. And
the other big challenge, if I can throw that in, I forgot.
Course.
Altitude and the afternoon monsoons, they call them. It's the monsoon season when the weather, you can just have huge hail or rainstorms, thunderstorms pass through many of the days. So that's why I'm doing it later in August, because it tends to be drier. And I'm going to tiptoe into the first week and a half or 2 of September. So I may be caught by a little snow because I'll be in the highest elevations, but we'll hope for the best.
Exactly. Hey, listen,
she says.
We have a comment from Alonda that I love. She says, I know people that don't hike or do anything like that and have had to have repair surgery. So why not do something you love?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you could do it on your basement stairs or climbing in the tub.
Yeah. I like our stories better.
Oh, yeah. Much more interesting.
Listen, we have a question from Stella. She says, how does your husband travel with you? Van, truck, car? Do you guys have a specific strategy?
He does not travel with me. I fly to wherever I'm starting, but we fly when he goes with me. And we hike, and we've got everything on our backs that we need. And then he goes home. And then once he gets home, he sends me my food supplies. I dehydrate all my food, and he sends me, send me 4 days worth of food to such and such town. And, in the past, he used to tuck in chocolate bars. That's in the past.
That's a bummer.
I know. Damn that decision. But then he'll go home, but we text or on the phone every day, almost every day as we can. And then I just keep going. And like when I did a 900-mile section and he joined me in the middle and we came and had R and I'd take 2 zeros. Colorado, he may join me in the middle at Salida, but since he's joining me the first 4 days, I think we're just going to get those 6 weeks done and I'll come home. But yeah, couldn't be more supportive. But I'm supportive of his active life as well. So
that's what it's all about.
Makes a good marriage.
That's right. So let's transition to the food, because I have admitted so many times on this podcast, and I am actually working on changing this because I have to if I'm going to, be active for my next 50 years. And I'm learning that food is vital. Walk through your process of why did you decide to dehydrate all your own food? And, in a sense, you spoke about it earlier, how food has really changed how you feel, which makes you a better hiker. So just walk us through that process.
Okay. Yeah. I've always been interested in nutrition, but there's so much information out there. You just don't know what is true. Eggs are bad, eggs are good, everything, And so I'd say 4 years ago, we were buying grass-fed beef, feeling we were doing the best thing we could. Anyway, I started dehydrating even before I went to the nutritious way of eating that I follow now. I was eating paleo. I felt like a lot of meat and vegetables were the key, those two things. And so I dehydrated all my food for the whole AT, but the first 3 sections were paleo. When I came home the first time from New Hampshire on crutches with double stress fractures, I had osteopenia for many years, but it stayed pretty, which means you're going towards osteoporosis, but you're a white female of Western European descent and you're slender. Yes, you're going to probably inch that way. I was laying on the sofa, depressed, watching Netflix. And I thought, what's this documentary, The Game Changers? This looks interesting, but kind of strange. It was a muscular guy just from the neck to just his torso. And it showed his veins were green. And I thought, let's see what this is. And it followed the path of a man named James Wilkes, who is a trainer for the military in martial arts. And he was holed up on his sofa with a knee injury years ago and was researching healthy ways to eat, which was exactly what I was doing too. I was thinking, let's speed up these bones to heal. And this was about the whole food, plant-based way of eating. Some people call it vegan, but by saying whole food plant-based means it focuses not on magic powers. You're not eating Twinkies, which may not have any dairy in them and are technically vegan, but you're eating real foods as close to their original form. And it went through all these world-class athletes that eat this way and thrive. And one of them might interest you. His name is Scott Jurek. And he's one of the top ultra runners in the world, has won just about everything.
Yeah, I followed him when I think he's won Western States like 7 times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he was running a fastest known time challenge, FKT, of the Appalachian Trail. And he set the record at that time, 2,200 miles in 46 days. And totally plant powered, not one scrap of animal protein, no dairy, no eggs, which is the way that I eat. Other well-known athletes, there's Venus Williams, who has a very incurable autoimmune disease, and that has helped her immensely. I can't pronounce the name of the top player, Djokovic or something like that, a tennis player.
Djokovic?
That's it. Thank you.
Yes.
I didn't even try writing that one down on my cheat sheet here. He eats that way completely. And he says that restored his power on the court, and his asthma. And Mike Tyson for 10 years. The list goes on. So I thought,
wait a minute. What is the name of this documentary? Because I might need to watch this afternoon.
Absolutely. The Game Changers. And there's another one, if you're not into athletics, which no one who's watching this will say
we don't want that one.
The other one, though, good one, is Forks Over Knives, where you pay attention to what you put on the end of your fork instead of going under the surgical knife, is why it's called that. And they have a fantastic website that you can go to, Forks Over Knives.
I put that in the chat for everybody. So everybody, I put the Game Changers and then Forks Over Knives.
For sure. And I mean, I've probably watched The Game Changers 4 or 5 times. So I showed it to Bill. Well, actually, I told him one morning, I said, I've decided to be vegan again because I'd tried it before, but all I thought you had to do was eliminate animal products and dairy and eggs and still eat all the rich sauces and French fries because technically those are vegan. But I'll get to that in a minute. I started researching it more and more, and I found this book prevent and reverse heart disease. And really, if you have high cholesterol, you have heart disease. It means your arteries are lined with plaque that you get from animal products and oils. And so this Dr. Esselstyn, whose program I follow 100%, and I've met and I've had talks with him, he says no added salt, oil, or sugar either. Now, this is a huge thing to do. Many people can't do it overnight. Judging from my personality, do you think, Julie, I did it overnight?
No.
Yes, you're wrong.
Oh, you did?
I did it overnight. You don't know me well enough. I mean, I would have married my husband 2 weeks after meeting him. I decide on things quickly, and they're right for me. So, yes, gradually, though, I had to learn more about it. And so now I have...
in other words, you went all in.
I went all in.
Yeah.
I went all in as best I knew, and I continue to learn. I'm in my 4th year of it. But I will tell you, my husband joined me because I started just as COVID hit. And I said, you are welcome to have meat in the house, but I can't buy it or cook it. But you're welcome to, and I'm in it. And, he's no fool. He just ate what I made for dinner, and he already eats oatmeal with berries for breakfast, and we were already drinking oat or almond milk just because we like the flavor.
Listen, my dad used to tell us, he used to say, you get what you get. So he got what he got, right?
Yeah. And lo and behold, he loses about 20 pounds. I would never have guessed within the first month. I would never guess that he needed to lose it, but he was starting to get a little bit of a tummy. I lost 10. And now I've just settled, and it never budges except when I hike, it goes down a little. When I come home, I overeat and I go up a little, and then I settle back. But the biggest thing was after like 2 weeks, we would get out of bed and we just walk down the hall, stretch and walk down the hall instead of going, oh my God, my back. Oh my God, my hips. Because he's 71 too. I mean, at that time we were late 60s. We were very young then.
Exactly.
But the aches and pains, the inflammation goes away because your body is not fighting these foreign intruders of the animal meat. And the dairy is the worst. Oh, you've got me going. I try not to take
slow
3
down,
hours
Ruth.
there.
We got to slow down.
Yeah.
So listen.
No.
My question is, I think it's amazing. I already know what I'm watching on Netflix this afternoon.
Yes.
For me, food is the worst for me, especially when it comes to backpacking. I mean, I'm pretty sure between 2006 and 2017, my body was fueled on Little Debbie's, Nutty Buddies, Pop-Tarts.
Oh boy.
Nasty.
Food
I would eat honey buns. I would go to the gas station for a resupply and look at the honey buns and pick out the one that was like 1,500 calories. And I was like, okay, I'll take that one. And, as I talk this out, it's a wonder my body broke down.
I know.
I know. It's ridiculous. Then you have to make a decision to do your food properly. And it sounds like because you do dehydrate all your food and you do send yourself specific resupplies when you're out on your section hikes, you have to make that decision too, because a lot of the philosophy now is, okay, go on your hike and just resupply in town, wherever you are, the gas station. So as a section hiker, it's a little bit easier to plan ahead and prepare your meals and things like that. So walk us through, I'm interested in your strategy when it comes to hiking and dehydrating.
Yeah, it does take a real commitment. But I just believe you're only as good as the fuel you put in your body. I investigated dehydrating, and I found someone who's written 2 cookbooks and has a fantastic website, The Backpacking Chef. It's an American who's married to a Swiss woman, so he hikes a lot in the Alps when they go to her home country. But he taught me everything I know in his cookbooks, The Backpacking Chef. And his books are recipes for adventure, number 1 and number 2. He is just fantastic. And what I do is I make everything I eat. I'll show you an example of my meals.
Yeah, one of the questions is, I think you're getting ready to tell us, Alonda wants to know, what kind of foods do you dehydrate?
Yeah. When you make meals, you can either dehydrate the individual objects. For example, chickpeas. I cook chickpeas or get canned, and you cook them and then you dehydrate them. And I cold soak in my Florida Trail through hike, which is a lie. I cold soak everything. But you can also, it's much faster for people who like cooking to cook it, rehydrate it, boil it for a minute, let it sit for 15 minutes. I prefer to put this in my cold soak, put water in it, and then hike. And then it's ready when I get there, get to the campsite.
Show that to us again so we can see.
Yeah. So you can either rehydrate individual foods and put them together with whatever sauce you choose. You can dehydrate sauce too. Or you can just do like chili. I'll just do everything in there. I have sweet potatoes. I have beans. I have things. This is my muesli for breakfast that I eat 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year. I love it anyway. And I have,
what do you call it? Muesli?
I call it muesli, but it's oatmeal. I use raw oats. You won't believe everything in here. 3 vegetables, sweet potatoes, which I am in love with, and I hope are in heaven. They must be.
Oh, they 100%.
Yeah. And so, I cook them and I cube them, and dice them and dehydrate them for 10 hours at 125 degrees in my dehydrator, which is about 18 inches square box with 9 drawers that come out. It's called the Excalibur, which I think is the best. They also make smaller ones that are circular, but the trays go down a pole. So if you want to rotate your trays midway so the drying is even, you have to take out all the trays, and you can't get as much in it. I love my Excalibur. It's going in the basement right now with potatoes in it. So in this, I have sweet potatoes, riced cauliflower, because it's a cruciferous and that is super good for you, and some zucchini just to fill up the stomach. And then bananas that I have sliced and dehydrated. You can buy a lot of things ready-made, though. I can't share a name with you because I haven't really looked into that. I happen to consider this a hobby. And while I do it, it's so much fun. I imagine where I'll be eating it in Colorado, in Florida. I sit there rather smug, I must admit, as others eat, believe it or not, for dinner, Honey Nut Cheerios with M&Ms, or I've also seen Ritz crackers with mayonnaise as dinner for people, honestly. So this is the oats, sweet potato, zucchini, cauliflower, sliced bananas for added calories and protein. And bless you for not saying, where do you get your protein? Protein's in all our food.
I don't even know enough to ask you where you get protein, Ruth.
Well, just as people warn me about bears on Appalachian Trail and alligators on Florida Trail, they warn me about protein when I eat plant-based. It's in all our food. And legumes are the highest, the food that has the most. So I include that several meals a day. And then I add flaxseed, a ground flaxseed for my omega-3s, I believe that is, cinnamon, and dried vanilla, which is a crazy high expense to buy, $180 for a bag like that, but it lasts forever. And that way I can get vanilla flavoring. And I don't need any milk. I just put water in with those flavorings. What I add also is balsamic vinegar. And I buy these Marconi packets on Amazon. Dr. Esselstyn.
Hold that packet up again. I changed the screen so we can see.
Yeah. Dr. Esselstyn, whose program I religiously follow, has his patients eating who have had great success. You eat leafy greens, cooked leafy greens or cruciferous vegetables 4 to 6 times a day. But let's just make it part of the meals. And I still do it after 4 years, about 3 to 4 times a day. And you eat those because they help dilate your arteries and your blood flows, like he says, over Teflon rather than sticking like on Velcro because of the plaque in it. So it opens it up. I get more blood flow going to help heal heart disease and to help me hike better. Vinegar accelerates the process. So I add vinegar, and balsamic is so sweet and good. I love it. That is my breakfast. I cold soak it overnight while sleeping and eat it while I'm packing up my tent. My lunch, I'll get, this is an example of dinner, sweet potato curry with rice.
Ooh,
so there's the
really
rice,
good.
and you can dehydrate rice. It does take longer to cold soak, but if I soak it all day, all afternoon, it's ready for dinner. It's good. And so, yeah, I've got, I can't tell you what exactly is in here, except that I do have some leafy greens, and this looks like a sauce, my red curry sauce. I have chickpeas in here. The way that I make my sauces, if you can see, that is a very thin little slice. You'll take it like your sauce, like hummus. I do hummus as well. You spread it out on the tray very thin, if it's creamy, and you dehydrate it. And when it's done, think of a crispy fruit roll-up. That's what it's kind of like. So you peel it off and you put it in your food processor, and then you've got a powder. And that's, for my lunch, that's what I've done. This is powdered hummus right there. I make my own hummus from chickpeas and lemon juice and other good things, nutritional yeast. I dehydrate it, I crumble it up, put it in my processor. And so what I'll do is I'll throw this in with some dehydrated veggies like red peppers, mushrooms, dried tomatoes, and add some corn tortillas that I get at stores along the way, or my husband mails me. Add water. In 5 minutes, this is hummus. And I just mix it with the veggies and put it in the tortillas. So that's my regular hummus. I've enjoyed, these are all lunch things that I do. Black bean hummus. This is chickpeas, but with black beans mixed in, just for variety, because you get sick of your food at some point. And so I have a huge variety.
What are you snacking on? Because, mid-morning, I'm like, pull out the candy bars or whatever.
You lead me to the next thing. But I want to show you real fast. My hummus, I have experimented. I've added spinach. I have added beets. Just beets are super nutritious too for you. Super for your arteries. And it's just, the taste is so good. And I always add my Marconi. Okay, snacks.
There she is with that vinegar. We're not going to forget that.
Yeah, I love it. I
love the visuals. I had no idea you were going to do this. I love it.
Well, it was just going to see how it went. It's available. My favorite thing, my snack, these, I've seen people grimace when they've bitten into it. These are tiny cookies that I make, and they start with a very basic recipe I found of simply, anybody can make it, mashed ripe bananas and raw oats. Bake it, you've got a nutritious cookie. And you can add vinegar. Then you start adding things, cinnamon and vanilla. And I added that. And I thought, well, I could put more in it. So in these, I see they're kind of dark. I make a wide variety of them. These obviously have chopped up greens in them, meaning kale or spinach or Swiss chard. I also see some red on the back. So that means it has a chopped red peppers in it. Sometimes I put zucchini or carrots, and then sometimes even chickpeas chopped up. So it's quite the cookie. And I dehydrate them instead of cooking them. I make them small enough so they can just fit in a little bag like that.
I love it.
And I dehydrate them so that they're real crispy, like a cracker, and they won't spoil. Because if I just baked them, they would spoil. And these have to last a long time.
And Ruth, I want one of those like right now.
Oh my God. Well, taste may vary according to the eater. I love them.
When you're on the trail, I'd be like, I'll have one.
I know. The other thing that I'm pleased with is the trail mix that I make, because I also don't eat nuts. Dr. Esselstyn recommends not. I love nuts, but he says for people who truly have heart disease or super high cholesterol, which I did, mine came down 100 points. Eating this way, 100 points, and I'm no longer pre-diabetic. That went away.
Are you on medication at all for your cholesterol, or no? Okay.
No. I was for a few months, and then no. This trail mix has get where you can see it maybe.
Here, let me switch it back.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go. These are red peppers, and these are, again, my chickpeas. This is a little mushroom that I marinated in balsamic vinegar. And there's a place called the Olive Tap, and there's also one called California Vinegars, I believe, that sell flavored vinegars, balsamic vinegars. And this has been marinated in hickory smoke vinegar. Oh my God. I see this trail mix. There's zucchini chips. I often have cherry tomatoes that I have cut into quarters. Yes, quarters, because they dehydrate faster that way. And sometimes I'll throw in this one in the bottom, I have some quinoa that I have cooked and dehydrated just to give more of a crunch and more calories. I'm always looking for calories. You want to lose weight, this is the way to do it. I mean, and you don't even have to hike, because many veggies only have about 100 calories per pound. Whereas oil, now I know we don't drink a solid pound of olive oil, but it's 4,500 calories a pound. And it just, all the meats and things are like 1,500 calories a pound. And so if you stick to veggies, between veggies and legumes and whole grains and fruits, you're never over 500 calories a pound. So you just I eat like a lumberjack at home, and my weight stays constant right where I want it. So yeah, that's what I snack on. And since Dr. Esselstyn wants us to eat greens, I have leafy greens in here. Well, look, there's another vinegar with dehydrated mandarin oranges, because sometimes if you eat the leafy greens alone, too many of them. Okay, let's be real frank here. Think cow patties. That's what might happen. So if I eat something with it like this, a soluble fiber, the mandarin oranges, then that holds on to the greens and they can be better absorbed. I also eat coleslaw that I make. And yes, I put my vinegar in it. And this has raisins in it for fun too. Just a few raisins, not many of those. I dehydrate fruit and have that as a snack. That's what my snacks are. And when I come out of town, I often will bring, when I'm in town, I'll try to buy fresh produce and make sure I stay at a place that has a microwave, and I cook from scratch. I put a potato in the microwave, or a sweet potato, my favorite food. And then I'll buy, if there's no fresh stuff, I've bought canned green beans. They're high in sodium, but they're still fresh. I mean, they're still real. I try to eat real food, not just dehydrated in town. The way I get my food, as I said, Bill has my itinerary. I've already got it planned where I'll stay and probably where I'll camp. But, I know which towns I'll be at, and he will send me the appropriate amount of food in a priority mailbox. And it has always made it for 2,200 miles of the AT and 350 miles of Florida Trail. And it's great. It's so great. And the reason these are in jars is I have started vacuum sealing things more, because dehydrating, you do lose some nutrition because of the heat and the air. Freeze drying is much better for maintaining nutrition, but the freeze dryers are $3,000 as opposed to my dehydrator that was under $300, I believe.
Well, that's a lot cheaper than surgery. $3,000 is a lot cheaper.
It's the truth. That is true. But also dehydrated food compresses more than freeze dried. And I take so much food. I take an Ursac, the bear and critter resistant, with an OPSAC, which is somewhat odor resistant inside it. But it's just chock full of food, because I need more bulk to get the calories. So I'm always looking for ways to get more calories in my food. So I grind up a lot of things, and I can take more food then. Wow. So yeah, it works out. I feel so good about my food. when I'm done, I get a veggie pizza, and I don't normally get.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah. That's what I did after the AT. And I only do whole grains. But I took the white flour and just scarfed it down, the white crust, and just give me veggies whole. Don't brush extra oil on the crust, which they often do. I let them know I can't do that. And don't add cheese. Just load up the veggies, and I just inhale. And come home and inhale for the next 2 weeks.
Unbelievable. Well, I'm going to say, Ruth, this has been an eye-opening episode. And I usually look at the time as I go through my episodes, and I just now looked at the time. We've been going an hour and 10 minutes. And I'm telling you, there are nuggets of gold in this episode. Ruth, you have been, first and foremost, you're an amazing hiker. And when I read that little paragraph, you said, I think I qualify as a lasher. I mean, I was like, this woman qualifies just because of who she is. And just so because you emailed me. And I believe you've answered a lot of everyone's questions that were in the chat. I mean, you dehydrate everything.
Everything. And, if it's not moving, I dehydrate it. No, if it's a plant.
Yeah, there you go.
I have to say, the biggest message I have is this way of eating, though, combined with nature. Oh, my God. I mean, nature is everything, too. Quality of life. We feel so good. I feel 45 or 50 years old. We feel so good. A lot of that is the fresh air, but I got the fresh air before, too. And I hope to live to 110. I'm 10 up in you. But it's not the length of life. It's the quality of life. So I hope to, now not literally, but figuratively, go until I'm 109, then go over the edge of a cliff. Figuratively, Julie. Right. Not literally.
I get it.
Since we're hikers, that could happen.
Yes, and we don't want that to happen.
But quality of life, and we've got it. And I'm very lucky my partner is in on this. It makes it very difficult, but it's quite attainable still, even if they aren't. It's a learning curve, and I hope that people will reach out to me. I'd love to talk with them.
Yes. Tell people how to reach out to you, because that's how, well, first of all, I want to say thank you for reaching out to me. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for coming on the show. Please come back in the fall. So after I do my series, I'm going to go hiking this summer and then come back in the fall. And I definitely want to have you back on, because we need to chat about your hiking on the Colorado Trail and
for sure
everything else that you do.
Let's hope I'm not on crutches.
No. That hashtag no more injuries. We're done.
No more.
We're done.
No more. They can reach me. I just 3 days ago, with the help of my tech pro, my husband, I started a Facebook page. I have a private one. I just never go to it, but I will now. You'll see.
What is it? I'll put it in the chat. What is it?
Yeah, it is Heart-Healthy Hiker.
Heart-Healthy.
And it's a public group. But you'll just see, a little blurb by me. I just set it up as a nice way to people to contact me. If you go to my private Facebook page, that's fine. You'll say, that poor woman, she only has 36 friends.
That means nothing.
I know. I have friend invites, and I just don't care to go online much. But where you can really read more is my blog, which Julie has. That is
and it's actually in the show notes, or it's on the YouTube information right now. You guys, it's tons of information. I sent it out yesterday too, on my email list, that I've got 200 plus people on the email list. They have all of your information, with the blog as well. Ruth, I think we're at a good point. This has been amazing. Thank you. And don't go anywhere. I'm going to switch the screen here, but don't go anywhere. We're going to chat after I am done. But Ruth, thank you so much. Those of you that watched us live, I really appreciate it. All the comments in the chat, all the information that I can gather, I will make sure is in the show notes and in the audio version of the show. this audio version episode will actually release, I believe it's the first Saturday in April, believe it or not. But once again, thank you, Ruth. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you listening. Be safe out there. And as always, happy section hiking.
Hello, Saver. Whether you're saving for that trip to the tropics or saving for an emergency, now is the time to take advantage of Wells Fargo's savings options. Wells Fargo offers savings accounts that can help you save towards your goals. So, what are you saving for? Visit a Wells Fargo branch or wellsfargo.com/save to open a savings account today.
Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.